The purple element is by far the most controversial in TEPPEN. You either love it or hate it, and that's largely because purple plays a very different game than the other elements. Now, since the Devil's Awaken released for TEPPEN, there are 3 popular purple decks seeing play: 4 cost, growth, and big resonate. Today's guide is all about the third. Your path to victory lies in your resonate units and using cheap actions to beef them up and either let them fly or become unblockable. Dante and Morgan are both able to do this well. It just boils down to personal preference. Dante uses Devil Trigger, which is 13 AP to nullify all damage to your hero for a short time. Morgan players generally use Temptation, which is 23 AP to halt all enemy units for 13 seconds. I personally prefer Dante, so that's who we'll play with today. Wait a second, something's not right. Yeah, that's more like it. There's a lot of ways to build Big Resonate. Here's a budget version that would work well with both heroes. I'll be using this more expensive build. Foresight and new generation Reploids will let us draw the tools we need to our EX pocket. They're also cheap to resonate with. Crystal Hunter halts any unit for 5 seconds. Halt also resets the unit's attack bar, so this is a way to protect yourself. Darkhold halts a unit for 13 seconds. Monstrous Virus is another way to stall out. It's a 2-cost action to negate all incoming damage to your hero, but it puts you on a 30-second timer. If that timer ends, you lose. Hookshot will give 1 unit flight. You could also use this on your opponent's unit to protect one of your own from damage. Devil Trigger gives a purple unit agility and flight. Brainwashed steals an enemy unit for 7 MP. Fake Intel will negate an enemy action if the number of units on the field is greater than or equal to the cost. Bold-Faced Lie negates an action of 6 cost or less and puts it back in the EX pocket with a reduced cost of 2. Ada Wong is a small unit that explores a stealth when played. That's a 2 MP action to make one of your units unblockable. Ibuki and Hashenko are resonate units that gain more stats. They will be the bulk of your damage. Jury explores a feng shui engine if she hits your opponent, which gives 1 unit bonus stats, combo, agility, and spillover. V the Mysterious One is a 0/5. It cannot attack even if you buff its stats. His resonate spawns one of 3 familiars: Griffin, which flies and deals damage on resonate, Shadow, which resonates for more stats, and Nightmare, which is an indestructible 13/13 with slow and spillover. Indestructible means destroy effects like Obliterate won't work. However, Nightmare is removed from play after 1 attack. And finally, we have Surge of Demonic Power. You may remember this from my legendary crafting guide. It's 6 MP to reduce the cost of all cards in both players' hands and EX pockets to 1. This is great for setting up big resonate combos. There's going to be a lot of purple decks on the ladder, so I think it's important that you understand how to fight similar mirror matches, if not exactly the same deck. So right away, you generally want to swap hands if you don't start out with Surge of Demonic Power. Now, it's not an immediate loss if you don't get it, because as you can see here, we swapped and didn't get it, but Surge is so powerful, and you'll get to see that further down the line. So right away, we've got 1 resonate unit in Ibuki, and we've got some low-cost tools in order to resonate her with. So what we're expecting is either a similar resonate style deck, or maybe a halt style deck from this Dante, or growth. We're just gonna have to wait and see. So we throw out the Ibuki with enough MP to use another action so that we could resonate her stats up just in case we need to. Now he plays the Anacris, which halts the Ibuki, which is ultimately okay, and we're just gonna use some MP to give this Ibuki flight and to give her 2 more HP. So already she's a threat because she has agility, she's got high health, and even though she's halted for a little bit, this Anacris is really not gonna be able to chew through her health. Now we've drawn into another resonate unit, which is Hashenko. And generally, if you are resonating 2 units at the same time, it's going to be really good for you because you're building up 2 big threats that your opponent is going to have to deal with. And resonating more than 1 unit at a time, very MP efficient. So he throws out the same Ibuki that we have, but we're not super worried about it because we have halt tools to deal with it. So when we have enough MP to throw down the Hashenko and use something else, that's when we do it. So the Hashenko comes out on top, and he attempts to use Splendid Buffet on the Ibuki down below. Now, this wouldn't kill it anyway, because he doesn't have any cards in the EX pocket, but this is a great opportunity to halt this Ibuki for a little bit with our 2 free MP, prevent her from dealing some of that agility damage that she can do. And right away, we've got 2 threats that are going to be resonating all the way through. We've also drawn into an Ada Wong, which can give one of these units unblockable, which is what we're going to look to do. So Ada comes out in the middle, and then he activates Sacrificial, I cannot read, Sacrificial Pawn to give one of his units +1/+1 and clog up an EX pocket space. So with that free MP, we're going to use Devil Trigger on the Sashenko, which will give her flight and agility. It would be wasted on the Ibuki, and he chooses to use Devil Trigger on his own Ibuki, which will give it flight. It's already got agility, and then he's getting the bonus stats from Sacrificial Pawn, but we're not really worried about it because we have a Darkhold in our hand. We're building up multiple uses of Devil Trigger, which will mean we're not super worried about this. And I don't know if you realized, but we just smacked this opposing Dante for a ton of damage, and he's down to 7 HP. So we're in really good shape. We're just going to look to resonate, open up doors for our 2 units to deal damage. Now, he is throwing out Monstrous Virus, which we attempt to counter with Bold-Faced Lie, but as you will see, he has Hidden Intent in his hand, which is another good counter. The only reason I don't yet run it is because I don't have it. So he's going to sacrifice 2 HP to make sure this Monstrous Virus gets activated. And if you're not familiar with this card, you're going to see how it works here in just a second. Now, we're choosing to give this Ibuki unblockable, which at the end of the day isn't really a big deal because she already flies. He's going to negate that, but we're getting more Resonate stats, and we're still in great shape here. So the Monstrous Virus activates, and you'll see this little clock. Basically, this means that whoever has Monstrous Virus is not going to take any damage. You'll see when the Sashenko hits, no damage, but if this timer runs out, he loses. So he's essentially on a clock. He's got to make something happen. Now, unfortunately for him, we have Darkhold to halt this Ibuki for a little while, so she's not going to be dealing damage. Plus, we already have Devil Trigger on deck, which will allow us to nullify even more damage. So he's really in the, the ball's really in his court. He's got to make a play. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. He just drew into another halt after we use this Foresight, which is fantastic. He chooses to Soul Reflect to make this Ibuki a little bit stronger. But at the end of the day, we don't really care all that much because we'll just Foresight again one more time. And every time we use an action, we're resonating. He uses Hidden Intent to stop us from trying to draw a card to drop him down to 1 HP, which is ultimately okay because, I mean, he's on this clock anyway. So he's got this Ibuki that could be considered a threat, but we have so many options to stop this Ibuki from doing any form of damage that it's not really going to matter. Now, if he had Devil Trigger here, we might be a little bit worried, but because he's running Ebony and Ivory for the double Resonate, not so scary. So you can see we're going to activate Crystal Hunter to halt this Ibuki, which again, you see that his timer on the right has run out, and he attempts to draw a card with Foresight. We're going to try to counter that, but he realizes he has nowhere to go, and he surrenders. So the power of Big Resonate there really coming out on top. Nero is super popular, and I haven't covered this deck specifically using Devil Breaker, but what you need to know is it's really similar to Nergigante, and it's very, very strong. I would definitely say it's a tier 1 deck. I'll cover it sometime soon. So right away, we're happy. We have Surge of Demonic Power in our hand, we have a Resonate unit in Ibuki, and we've got V. And V has the ability to fill up a board really, really quickly, and you're going to see that here in just a moment. So right away, we're happy because he doesn't start with an MP booster, and he has to play the layer second, which means he's lower on MP than we are. So we're going to use Surge of Demonic Power. He takes the opportunity to use a Heartless Experiment, which is okay. And now we have a really low cost hand that we're looking to. We throw the V up top, and now we are going to use our low cost Crystal Hunter on the middle Nidhogg to generate a Griffin. Now he uses the free MP to use Psycho Power, and we attempt to counter that Psycho Power right there to get another Resonate. And that's when the seal comes out on the V. So we use the Foresight to get 4 more damage off of these Griffins because every time they Resonate, they deal 2 damage to a random enemy unit. So the V getting sealed, it kind of sucks, but at the end of the day, it's not the worst thing in the world because we have a 1-cost Jury in our hand, we've got a 1-cost Ibuki, and we've got low-cost actions to Resonate them. So as soon as this V dies, we're going to fill it up with another big Resonator, and we're just going to keep going with these opportunities to deal damage. So we're going to halt this Nidhogg in the middle as he chooses to activate a shield, which is going to deal 4 more damage spread out. So he's going to attempt to keep his layer alive for the MP boost, and he's also going to shield on the Nidhogg. But again, we're flying over these guys, so we're not super worried about that. We're building up enough MP that we're going to be able to drop a Resonator here. We choose to use the Ibuki because she is 1 cost and she has agility, and we have Hook Shot to make her fly, which is what we are going to choose to try and do. So the Hook Shot comes out, dealing 4 damage, which will ultimately kill that layer, that damage coming from those griffins. He throws out another layer which gets rid of the bottom griffin, but that is okay because we have enough units to throw around on the bottom. So we want to try to keep this last griffin alive, and since we have a halt, we're going to throw it down on the Nidhogg. Now he is attempting to seal this Ibuki, which is a good decision because she's dealing a lot of damage, but we have fake intel on deck, which allows us to negate that seal, get rid of one seal, seal being so powerful, especially against purple decks. So now we are really chewing through his health, and he's got a lot of ground to make up. So he drops another MP booster up top, but he doesn't really have anything boosted, and since Jury is just 1 MP, it's time to throw her out to make her another threat. So he uses the Devil Breaker on that middle Nidhogg, and I'm not fast enough to save that Griffin, but at the end of the day, it's okay. We've got Devil Trigger. We're going to use it on that Jury, which means unless he has something to do, he'll connect, we get Feng Shui, but it doesn't, and he surrenders because he realizes he has nowhere to run at the end of the day. Nergigante, really popular. He was the deck guide I did before this. Now, the deck this guy is running is quite a bit different than the one that you would see in that video. This is actually purple-black, but you'll see how we are able to kind of fly over his big, beefy threats. So right away, this is an okay hand. We've got some low-cost actions to resonate with. We've got Ada Wong that we can throw out early and get stealth for unblockable, and we have Hashenko who gains lots of stats. So right away, this deck is striking me as unconventional because the Qliphoth Roots come out. He's got the Flyer. Now, Qliphoth Roots is scary in this situation because it deals damage to a unit equal to its health. But he only has the ability to level it up one more time based on throwing units down. So right away, what we want to do is we want to get our Hashenko out of that range of the Qliphoth Roots HP. So I'm going to be resonating probably a little bit sooner than I would in a normal match. We're going to attempt to give this thing flying so that it can contest the unit in the bottom. Soul Reflect comes out, but we're going to use the 2 free MP to do another hook shot onto this Hashenko, and it definitely puts her out of range of that Qliphoth Root damage, even with the +1/+1. So we've got a little bit of room to breathe now. We've got more options, but we haven't drawn another Resonator just yet. So we Foresight to give some more health as the Eliminator comes down, dealing that Qliphoth Roots damage to that Hashenko and putting her on halt. Now he's going to be dealing a little bit of damage in the middle and top lane, but that's okay because we have the tools to kind of circumvent some of that damage at the end of the day if we need to. So we're going to Foresight for a cheap Resonate, try to get some more cards. Out comes Forbidden Fruit. This can really make the Eliminator very, very strong with the agility it already has. So this is where we choose to use Bold-Faced Lie to send that Forbidden Fruit back to the EX pocket with a low cost. And if he chooses to try to do it again, that's actually okay because we have Fake Intel on deck. And as you'll see, he makes the second attempt with that Forbidden Fruit, and we're just going to Fake Intel to eliminate this card altogether because it's a legendary, beefing our Hashenko up even more. Now, part of the problem you'll see that he's run into is that he is board locked. He is 4 MP away from Spike Launch, which even then he hasn't used a whole lot of sacrificial actions to make Spike Launch strong, but because he's board locked, he doesn't really have a way to deal with this Hashenko unless he's got direct destructive effects, which you'll see he doesn't really. So I want this Hashenko hitting faster, so we use the Devil Trigger on it to hopefully draw into another Resonator. We don't, but it's okay because he doesn't really have an answer to what we're doing just yet. Now he throws down that unit on the bottom, and we're low on health, so we're going to choose to activate Devil Trigger, but unless he deals with this Hashenko, he's got nowhere to go. And with 2 swings of 19, that is going to close out that match very quickly. Thanks for taking the time to check out this big Resonate deck guide. As always, I hope it's helpful to you. I also hope that you have a great Thanksgiving holiday. Spend some time with your family and friends and tell them that you love them. Take care. I'll see you next time.